Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your home for organic Bible study that's fresh and delicious. Here in the Bible Bistro, we have lots of fresh and delicious Bible studies. Daily Dose Radio, which comes to you every day, 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. The School of Wisdom podcast, which is our latest edition, comes to you once a week, uploaded on Thursdays. And the Creek Road Baptist Pulpit, which is a podcast featuring sermons preached at the Creek Road Baptist Church, uploaded on Wednesdays once a week. So lots of choices. Plus we have a bookshelf. Yeah, we have a bookshelf. My book, the book by Cotton Mather that I edited, is called Christianity to the Life. If you haven't gotten a copy of that, I hope you go out to Amazon and pick one up. It's there in paperback. It's also available for your Kindle. Today we're looking at verse 3 in Psalm 93. In verse 3, we take a shift, a hard right turn. Be careful, you're going to pull some G's on this turn, because we go from an established throne in the heavens to the earth. We go from the Lord who reigns and is clothed with majesty down to the seaside. And now we're going to talk about the floods. 3 different times here in this one verse, the word flood is used. Let me read verse 3 for you. The floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their waves. Now, I've said we're talking about in this psalm the fact that God reigns. We have all of these statements of fact. The Lord reigns is number 1. His sovereignty is described there. He is clothed with majesty and with strength, so his might, and that is described there. And that leads us then to his creation. So he's sovereign, he's mighty, and he's the creator of all things. There in verse 1. Verse 2, his throne is established of old. He is, there in verse 2, thou art from everlasting. So we have his eternal nature described. Now we come down to the earth. The earth is established, it cannot be moved. And what do we find on the earth? Floods. Floods. Floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their voice. What in the world are we talking about when we talk about floods? Is it just water? And is that the idea here? Water got in the basement somewhere and they're trying to fix it? No, we're not talking about water. I think what we're talking about here is the multitudes. This is the floods of men. They come and they go, just like the waves of the sea. They lap up onto the shore and then they run right back out into the ocean again. The transience of men. But there's something that we see in the transience of men, and this is good contrast because what did we just have? We just had the eternality of God, right? And we had the fact that whatever he does is established and unmovable. But now we have the transience of man because we have the floods and their waves, and they're lapping up on the shore, going in, going out, going in, going out. Man comes and man goes. And then it says they've lifted up their voice. They've lifted up their waves. So what's said of the men here is that they're noisy people. And we are noisy people, aren't we? So much noise is made by us. And it says they've lifted up, they've lifted up, they've lifted up. So men are always lifting up something. They're lifting up themselves. They're always advertising for their own might. They're always advertising for their own sovereignty. They're always advertising for their own brilliant creation, right? We had all of that in the first 2 verses. Now we have it again here in verse 3, but it's the men who are making the noise. And so if you go to Revelation chapter 13, I think you see a very nice little similitude there that helps us with this interpretation, and that is the beast that rises up out of the sea. Well, it's not water that he comes up out of, but it is the nations of men. It's the multitudes of men. And so here we have this, the floods, that is, the nations of men and their generations being contrasted to the might and stability and eternality of God. Okay, tomorrow's real important. I want you to come back tomorrow as we look at verse 4, because then we're going to make our next doctrinal statement about the Lord there. I'll see you then on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.